I am live. Hello, everybody. It's Lasha Rajenko. The channel is really called High Voltage. My back is so bad tonight. Yes, for anybody who wants to accuse me of smoking marijuana right now, absolutely. My, I think something broke between the live that I did today and now, or else I didn't take my pain medication. And that's the truth. And I'm not going to until I'm dying. Behind me is Sophie, if you've never been here before. I'm having one cocktail tonight because, as Emma from TNT always says, it's 5 o'clock somewhere and it's 6 o'clock here in Canada, and I've had 3 tokes, and this will be my 3rd sip. So, with that being cleared out of the way, I have very tiny eyes. I get this even when I do not have a, why do they call it a cocktail? A cocktail. I want a cocktail. Think about it. I just thought about it just now. All right. Why am I here? Because ask not. Okay, look. My fingernails, you have no idea how many times a day I wash my hands. I work in a kitchen. The only thing that gets it out, not even a shower. I mean, I could wash my hair 15 times. Doesn't matter. Palmolive? Doesn't matter. Rubbing alcohol? Yeah. I've done this twice today. I'm keeping my nails to myself. This is Ask Not, the Kennedys, and the women they destroyed. And I fully understand that the women participated. I am not daft. Now, I have read everything, but I am reading Carol Bassett the entirety of the time, and I am not going to stop. And if I have to smoke in the middle of it, I will. If I need to take a sip of my cocktail, I will. But this chapter really pissed me off. It did. Because it was a different era 27, 30 years ago. And I remember this, and I remember the media response to JFK Jr. Anybody over the age of 50 would remember this very, very, very clearly. I did a live today. The only thing that I didn't do properly today was eat properly. So after I finish this reading, I'm going to eat. But if I don't do it now, I won't do it. And I said I was going to do it today, and my Baba and my Dido, they always instilled in me, if you're going to do something, you follow through with it. And that, what is it, sweetheart? Sophie's not been well, for those of you that know us, and for those of you that don't. She's my baby. Come here, sweetheart. I'm right here. I'm right here. She wants to play. let's get into it. I also want to thank the subscriber. I do not like to call this person a subscriber because this person has been a participant and an amazing cyberspace friend. And really, whoever you are can get exaggerated on a videotape. Like, for example, don't worry, I'm going to read in 5 minutes. I should put at the beginning of I'm like this all the time. I need to put at the beginning of every video I do live, please move the button to 10 minutes forward, and then we'll get into the dialogue, because I always have a dialogue before the content. So at any rate, what I was going to say is I remember this time. I remember growing up and there weren't any stars because Michael Jackson had faded out. Oprah Winfrey was still coming in, but she was big. But I don't like to talk about Oprah Winfrey because she swing hungled. I'm going through menopause, so I do get my words backwards regardless, but she swindled. I allowed like Candace Owens said, the media almost prevents you from seeing what your eyes see. And my aunt could always see through her. And I must have spent thousands of dollars on Oprah Winfrey's. I know the person left because they're going to think, oh, she's being a drunk. I know exactly what people are thinking. But I'm like this all the time if you look at my other videos. Melody Moon, I didn't do any dancing today because I painted a thank you card for my boss, Gary, because it was his 2nd year anniversary today. Anyways, I heard about this book through Maureen Callahan and Megan Kelly. I'm going to start reading, and I'm reading the entirety of Carolyn Bessette, even though I've read the first few pages. The minute she said yes, she regretted it. Carolyn could not say that about so much of her life recently, but nothing quite felt like this. She was going against her gut, trying to keep her husband happy, really trying to keep up appearances. Their marriage, its most tenuous, by agreeing to fly with him in the small plane he was still learning to pilot to a Kennedy wedding on the Cape. He was flying a point of pride for him and fear for her. Carolyn said, this two family members, friends, the waitress in their favorite restaurant in Martha's Vineyard, she didn't think her husband had the patience, the diligence, the attention span, and really the humility to be a good pilot. To know when he shouldn't get in the air. He was still a student, but he had not so much hubris. He didn't take his training seriously. He had not banked nearly the hours in the air in daylight and night to pilot alone. He would break the rules, sneak into solo flights when he was supposed to have an instructor fly with him, but not one person astonished him or threatened to take away his training certificate. Nope, it was just John being a Kennedy, a rogue and rebel like his father, risk in the blood. To Flight Safety Academy, the bravest people in aviation, John wrote to his instructors. because people will only care where I got my training if I crash. John thought it funny. Carolyn did not. John, unlike Carolyn, thought there was no way he'd ever have an accident, even though he'd had a cast on his ankle for the past 6 weeks, having broken it in crash landing a contraption called the flying lawnmower. I have no idea what that is. He'd needed surgery on the ankle. John's doctor had just removed the cast that day. Before, and even though John needed a cane to walk and would need months of physical therapy, he swore the doctor had cleared him to fly. So he lied. Not likely, but John was so confident, overconfident as usual, Carolyn couldn't fully blame him. No one said no to John F. Kennedy Jr., heir to Camelot, the only living son of the beloved slain president with movie star looks and charm to match America's prince. The media called him, and whenever John wanted to do something, to become a lawyer, start a magazine, hell, run for president of the United States, everyone knew that was coming. The answer was always yes, sure, of course. Sometimes Carolyn would say no to John, just to say no, to habituate him to real life. It always stunned him. When they first started dating seriously, after he had ghosted Carolyn, the formally accommodating, easygoing Carolyn of a few years before, she collaborated. She suddenly wasn't so available. She wasn't so understanding of his lateness, forgetfulness, entitlement. She was forcing him to realize that other people were important too. She stood him up once. This before anybody had cell phones. No way for her to reach John F. Kennedy Jr. as he sat in a darkened Broadway theater, all eyes on him, the empty seat next to him. To say she had to work late, Carol expected John to be furious with her, but it only made him want her more. And Carolyn realized her superpower. She became the only woman in the world to tell JFK Jr. no. Not okay. Don't behave like this. Last time I said don't believe in this, and it's don't behave like that. I won't put up with it. Say you're sorry. Do better. Almost like a mother to a child. Which makes me, okay, I said I'd leave my commentary till the end. Don't take me for granted. And he got off on it. There was a picture that went around when they were going public, Carol on a boat in a thong bikini, John bent down in front of her, helping her into a wrap. Was their dynamic. Carolyn was the dominant, John was the submissive. He liked to be bossed around by the women in his life, and Carolyn liked bossing him around. She got off on denigrating him, calling him I can't say this word it's like fog, but changed the O to an A. So she used to mock him about his did you get that? So fog, but changed the O to an A. That's what she used to call him. And she should have known that her power over him would be fleeting. He's under so much pressure, Carolyn's sister would say. He's under so much pressure, Carolyn's sister would say. It was 1997, and John's magazine, George, barely 2 years old, had gone from being the #1 most successful launches in industry history to a spectacular failure, teetering on the brink of insolvency. Worse, no one read it. John, as editor-in-chief and face of the magazine, not only didn't have the esteem of his publishing peers, he was a laughing stock. I thought that said login stock. I did. Laughing stock. Called the worst thing anyone could call him was dumb. It was a label that had plagued him since he failed the bar exam twice in his 20s, an exam he never wanted to take, forced by his mother to pursue a respectable career in law, which now is a joke. Law, it's for the rich. Trust me, I know from trying to find a lawyer. Tabloid headlines all over New York City screaming some variation of the same headline, the hunk flunks. When he did finally pass, his mother having arranged special circumstances for his third test, an esteemed Manhattan district attorney, Robert Martingu, arranging a plum position for him. John's new colleagues were unimpressed. John would take his lunch hour shirtless in the park playing football. His first case was prosecuting a robber who had fallen asleep while committing the act and awakened by the cops. That's when I had to stop last because I could not stop laughing. And then I was going to say I went to the Oligard. Then I went to the prologue. Close your eyes and I'll miss you. Oh, and Jackie O didn't smoke either. That was a part of Camelot too. Anyway, I'm sorry, but that first case just... What is wrong? Okay, I'm not going to start. JFK Jr. himbo. He was painfully aware of his reputation, but he didn't seem to realize how his narcissism played into it. Well, most narcissists don't, except for H.G. Tudor. And I'm starting to wonder, can I just here, let's make this easier on me and easier on all of you. All right? Thank you. Now I can have my toke and my smoke and I can read without being judged to hear high to heaven. JFK Jr. himbo, he was painfully aware of his reputation. I'm right here, baby. But he didn't seem to realize how his narcissism played into it. I could go on a tangent about Meghan Markle right now. George meant to append George meant to append things. That image was instead a fail on three fronts: commercially, critically, and was intended triumph of public relations. One meant to give JFK Jr. the gravitas for a run for governor of United States Senate, the most respected publication of his age. It was George's launch. Put John on the cover, chin resting on one hand. The piece of that ran in Spy magazine mocked his professional failures, beginning with his first business idea, a quixotic attempt to sell handmade kayaks that would somehow be mass produced. Oh, you just want to come and sit out here. Okay, come. Come. Oh, you want to play. I'm almost done, honey. I'm almost done. And then I'm all yours. I've been yours all day. Just don't jump on my leg. Just don't jump on my leg. I just threw it. Oh, there she goes. She just pulled it out again. All right. In an ill-thought-out, rent-a-dog scheme inspired by the people who stopped John all the time when he was walking his own dog, surely there would be a market, right? It took Matt Berman, his business partner, to explain. John, he said, they're probably not stopping you because of your dog. John had to concede. Matt had a point. It was to the next idea, one far more glamorous, high-profiled, and unexpected, a magazine? How hard, he asked, could it be? John and Matt enrolled in a two-day course called How to Start Your Own Magazine. How to start your own magazine. That would be like somebody coming to me and saying, how do you start a YouTube channel? All these perfect YouTubers, I'd really love to see what they were like in real life. Just saying. Where's my dog? Well, at least I can see her. God, these fingernails. I can't even get over it. Rubbing alcohol is the only thing that gets it out. And today was my boss's second-year anniversary, and I made him a card, and I forgot to take a picture of it and send it to Melody Moon. That's terrible. Unbelievable. And I'm always petting the dog. You have to wash your hands like 20 times a day. I'm serious. Anyways. Okay. John had to concede. Matt had a point. It was on to the next idea, one far more glamorous, high profile, and unexpected, a magazine. How hard could it be? John and Matt enrolled in a 2-day course called How to Start Your Own Magazine. And despite their teacher's warnings, after what? A 2-day course? Despite the teacher's warning, after a 2-day course. Despite the teacher's warning, after a 2-day course. Despite the teacher's warning, after a due 2-day course. That's pretty bad. If I had the money that John F. Kennedy had, I would have thought of somebody other than my fucking self. I'm telling you, these entitled oligarchs. I don't blame Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold, I understand. I terminate you. He wasn't the Terminator for no reason. Sophie! Sophie! Does anybody know how to... Oh no, like you can do it through the fucking screen. Okay, anyways, okay. So John sailed into those meetings without any due diligence, any met headwinds he'd never experienced or expected. One executive couldn't believe John's gall in asking for a $20 million investment without being able to answer the most basic stuff, such as who was the magazine's audience? What was the brand identity? Who would John hire to write? What stories did the magazine break? Who would make ideal profile subjects? Why would their as yet unnamed magazine be successful when political magazines, by definition, were small and lucky to break even? Well, Bill Maher lived through that. Bill, 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 Bill. He's even embarrassed to be a part of the Democratic Party now. John was like, I forgot this part. John was like Seinfeld's bubble boy, so coddled and spoiled that he didn't know what he sounded like to others. He could be prickly and impatient and something of a brat. Really? John didn't live in the real world and never had. He lived on planet Kennedy, just like Michael lived in Leaving Neverland. Oh, what the kings have in common. Oh, where he was the king of the Kennedys, and I'm saying, and Michael Jackson was the king of Neverland, and R. Kelly was the king of Kelly World, and J.E. was the king of... I'm stopping there. I need to digest that. God bless. Goodbye. That's a wrap. That's culty, eh? That's a wrap. Welcoming, respecting aspects of all people's societies. But that's not a joke. That's what I do. Okay? Have a good night, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow with the rest. We only have 2 more pages with Carolyn Bessette, but I can feel myself becoming cognitively impaired from having 4 sips of a Caesar and 2 puffs of a joint, and I don't like that. And that's when it's time to say goodbye. And what do real stars do behind the scenes? Like I'm being upfront and honest with everybody, and people will criticize me. But I'm doing what I said I would do no matter the condition, and I'm not famous. I don't have to do this. It's not my responsibility to put myself out there. But why do I do that? It's because I want people to learn how ridiculous it is.